Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
Hello, Internet. I'm Ren, and today I want to talk about Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, a brand new sequel that premiered in theaters in September of this year, 36 years after the original cult classic. As a former weird goth kid, current weird goth adult,
I myself am strange and unusual.
I was a little nervous when I heard they were making a new Beetlejuice movie, because I absolutely adored the original growing up.
Can you be scary?
What do you think of this?
I actually can't even remember the first time I saw it, but it was one of those movies my mom and I revisited time and time again. The original had amazing practical effects, a quirky tongue-in-cheek tone,
How do I look? There's no mirrors on this side. Fine, look fine. No? Fine. Thanks, I've been feeling a little flat.
and a bizarre, trippy reimagining of the afterlife and its rules.
Is this what happens when you die? This is what happens when you die. That is what happens when he dies. And that is what happens when they die. It's all very personal.
And it had a really hard to replicate charm with the juxtaposition of weird nonsense and touching sweetness.
Oh, Adam, I can't go through with it. I like that little girl.
In the age of questionable CGI and aggressively rushed productions thanks to greedy studios, like most people, I worried that we'd get a movie that felt like a tired, phoned-in cash grab. But Beetlejuice Beetlejuice feels like it was made with a lot of love for the first film, while still having its own story to tell and reason to exist. Although there were plenty of parallels to the original, the sequel had a lot to live up to, so let's talk about it. This is going to be another shorter review and will be mostly spoiler-free, although I will have a spoiler section I'll flag towards the end, and I will be immediately spoiling the 1988 movie. You've had 36 years, come on. I'll start by saying I really liked Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. I think they did a great job recreating the charm of the first film with lovingly crafted practical effects and carefully recreated costumes, sets, and props.
The first time Michael tried on the suit, it was kind of like he's back.
It's showtime.
And it was clear that all the returning actors really wanted to be there.
The fun that everyone was having, I haven't seen that on a set in a long time. Everyone who worked on it, you could tell, really enjoyed showing up for work. Because how often do any of us get to do that anymore?
There were nods to the original all over the place.
You in the truck! Listen to me! This is my arm, and it is dangerous! Do you think I want to die like this?
We're gonna be in Winter River for a few weeks.
What do you mean for a few weeks? I thought we were just going for the funeral.
And it has the same sense of humor.
Doing my own stunts was non-negotiable. You know why?
Authenticity.
You gotta keep it real.
Looks like you got a little too real there, bud.
Who knew it was a live grenade?
But it also forms its own distinct identity, starting with the plot, which is wildly different from the first film. In the original, we follow a nice, small-town couple, Barbara and Adam Maitland, played by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, respectively. They die in a car accident.
Handbook for the recently diseased.
Deceased.
And become ghosts haunting their own home after a new family, the Dietzes, move in. They can't stand the couple, particularly Catherine O'Hara's Delia.
If you don't let me gut out this house and make it my own, I will go insane, and I will take you with me!
I'm gonna get her.
But end up befriending the family's young goth daughter, Lydia, played by a baby Winona Ryder, when she becomes the first living person who can see them.
Well, how is it that you see us and nobody else can?
Well, I read through that handbook for the recently deceased. It says, live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual.
You look like a regular girl to me.
In their efforts to drive out the Dietzes, who are excited rather than afraid when they discover the house is haunted,
It was like being in an amusement park.
Who has more fun than us?
they enlist the help of Beetlejuice.
It's him. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice!
A demon who appears if you say his name 3 times, played by Michael Keaton. Beetlejuice is as raunchy and unpleasant as he is funny.
Something out of ourselves. We just have to talk.
Yeah.
Hey!
Excuse me?
I guess you could say he's a model citizen.
You're working with a professional here!
Cause he lives in a model.
Nice fucking model!
No. Okay.
Besides, I'm not exposing that little girl to that pervert down there.
Barbara, we did call him and he seemed awfully pissed off.
I don't care. I've changed my mind.
And he unleashes some incredibly entertaining havoc. And when the Maitlands get into a tight spot with an ill-advised seance by the elder Dietzes, he tries to get Lydia to marry him in exchange for his help.
Help them, please.
Sure, I can help him. You gotta help me.
To free him from the afterlife.
I want out for good. In order for me to do that, hey, I gotta get married.
Okay, just help them.
It's a bizarre movie, but extremely memorable.
Come on! And
And like I said, very sweet.
And how about the math test?
You have got to be kidding me. We spent the whole week studying for that test.
I got an A.
As the Maitlands become a sort of second set of parents for Lydia by the end.
So, can I?
Well, I don't know. Got a C on the science test.
Adam, don't tease her. You never get an A in science.
Well, I suppose.
It's got a lot of iconic scenes.
Shake, 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 Sinora, shake your body liner.
And it holds up surprisingly well visually for a film this old because of how committed it is to its aesthetic. The plot of the new film is a lot less put together and is definitely one of the weaker points overall of the movie, but it's still a ton of fun. There's basically an A-plot where an adult Lydia is now a paranormal investigator and TV host.
My name is Lydia Dietz, and welcome to Ghost House.
And her daughter Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, is a skeptic and has a lot of resentment to her for not spending more time with her.
All right, people already know you would rather spend more time with ghosts than your own daughter.
It mostly culminates in some teenage shenanigans.
Pain and suffering are always inevitable.
I can't believe you're quoting Dostoevsky. That's where have you been all my life?
And unfortunate trickery in the afterlife. But there is a good reason that ghosts are such a sore point for her.
It's ironic, isn't it? You can apparently see any random ghost for your shitty TV show, but the one ghost that actually matters to me, you can't see at all.
There's a B-plot involving a Beetlejuice origin story where an undead woman tries to track him down and wastes a bunch of guys in the process. It also includes Willem Dafoe as deceased actor turned investigator Wolf Jackson.
This is what you've been training your entire deaths for.
I love and respect what a strange turn his career has taken.
Remember, gotta keep it real. Yes!
He's great. I have no notes. We also get a C-plot involving Delia and, minor spoiler, a deceased Charles Dietz.
Your father's left me.
He's divorcing you?
What a horrible thought. No, he's dead.
But it was basically a creative way to get around the fact that the actor who played him in the first movie was, we're gonna say problematic, but what he did is explicitly a crime. And I'm glad he isn't in this movie and fades into the background in the first one. The result is still very funny, though, and leads to some surprisingly sweet moments with Delia. And I really do appreciate the way they managed to totally get rid of this guy while somehow making it feel like there's not a glaring hole in the movie.
Sorry to bother you. My name's Charles Dietz. Feeling a little lightheaded.
But there's also a further subplot with Lydia's scummy manager turned boyfriend Rory.
I think it just shows how connected we are. It's like we got the same stupid little heart.
Who sucks and has slimy vibes that remind me of Freddy from The Fall of the House of Usher.
Got some work stuff to do.
Can we talk first?
Sure, Peanut.
These disparate storylines do mostly tie together pretty nicely in the end without bloating the runtime. But it does all feel a little bit crowded, even if each element is interesting on its own. It's really saved by the fact that it's an obvious labor of love.
When the world is really complete, it sets the rules for the pretending. It tells you how to behave. And here, as fantastical as the sets are, as unrealistic as they are, they've got such detail and such a sense of purpose and color and everything that once you get there, you say, oh, I know what this scene is about.
But also because it's just such a blast. Everything about it bubbles over with enthusiasm, from the performances, which are sensational.
Charles! Charles! Oh, Charles!
Keaton in particular didn't phone in a single second as Beetlejuice.
For instance.
It's the first time that I've seen an actor completely transform as soon as they shout rolling. He does this thing where he adjusts his voice and suddenly it's Beetlejuice.
You're Beetlejuice!
Part of the deal is you can never ever say my name.
To all the practical effects and prosthetics work. It's worth a rewatch solely to take in all the different background characters and visual gags. Then there's the superb soundtrack, and score. And it has several iconic scenes.
Whatever you do, I will be right here, babe.
And memorable lines of its own.
The juice is loose.
It also adds substantially to the lore of the previous film, showing us a lot more of the afterlife than we got to see before.
Right down hallway 3 rights through the 9th door, and right to the soul curtain.
And although I don't know that we needed a Beetlejuice origin story, I still kind of love Dolores. And her intro scene is so good. Plus, the Danny DeVito cameo is flawless.
Hey, Toots! You're not supposed to be back here.
The film is also absolutely saturated with Halloween vibes, which is particularly great this time of year if you really want to immerse yourself in the holiday with something that's spooky rather than scary.
Be not afraid, for thine eyes will see strange things. Are you filled with fear and trembling?
Yes, I'm shitting my pants.
It's also committed to being as unabashedly weird and silly as the first movie.
Kings of commerce, knights of Nasdaq, deem him worthy to enter the gates of your realm.
But it has a lot of heart too, and an interesting new story to tell with a grown-up Lydia trying to navigate being a mother to a teenager while dealing with the supernatural. I also love that she looks basically the same and kept her goth style into adulthood. It's not a phase, Mom! And I love how they progress her relationship with Delia.
Ever since I sold out and got famous, we have gotten closer.
No, I started liking you before that.
Catherine O'Hara is wonderful in this.
You need to take back your life. Where's the obnoxious little goth girl who tormented me all those years ago? It's time to find her.
Jenna Ortega is well cast here too, and it's kind of a fun reversal having the teenager be the skeptic with a parent who believes in ghosts.
What? No. Jesus, people already know that Lydia Dietz is my mom. Okay, can you stop being a freak for like 1 second?
Astrid is pretentious.
What are you reading?
Crime and Punishment.
One of those.
What does that mean?
Nothing. I've read it 3 times.
And edgy.
When you're all in your 3rd kid and 2nd divorce, we'll see who gets the last laugh.
And messy. She's really well written for a teenager, and she's a lot like her mother, but also distinct, and it's great watching them bounce off each other. They also decided not to bring the Maitlands back, even as a cameo, and I think that was a good choice, Alec Baldwin's legal troubles notwithstanding, and helped the movie stand on its own when it already had so many recurring characters. There's just so much to love about it, and I'm actually really glad it exists. And that's a nice thing to feel about a sequel in 2024. Okay, that's really all I can say about it without getting into spoilers. I still want to keep this video mostly spoiler-free, but there were a couple things I wanted to talk about that I just couldn't resist, so this is your warning if you want to skip. Okay? First of all, I'm obsessed with the scene. You already know which one I'm talking about.
Someone left the cake out in the rain.
The absolutely bizarre lip sync to MacArthur Park that undeniably rivaled the Deo scene from the first movie.
I don't think that I can take it, 'cause it took so long to bake it.
It just came right out of nowhere. The choreography was wild.
I'll never have the recipe again.
And it was so committed to the moment. I loved it.
Words left under babies in your hand.
I do think it's fun that we're now 2 for 2 on Ortega playing goth characters and doing very strange choreography. It was also funny having another attempted Beetlejuice wedding, which was cut short by a sandworm like the original. But honestly, I'm just glad he didn't try to marry Astrid. I thought the Jeremy storyline was a bit over the top, but I understand they needed a supernatural conflict involving Astrid. I just wish she didn't come off as so clueless and helpless. Jeremy wasting his parents is kind of wild and seems unnecessary.
Jeremy?
I mean, the egg beater?
Is that you?
I do think it's wild people were upset about her kissing a ghost of a teenager that's been lingering for like 30 years. Like, objectively in real life, sure, it would be problematic, but the boy frozen in time high school supernatural fantasy isn't new.
How old are you?
17.
How long have you been 17?
A while.
And it's still a relatively harmless trope since it doesn't normalize realistic situations, as opposed to something like student-teacher romances, which come up way too often. But anyways, there was also Delia's death with not defanged asps.
Too late. They've been defanged. Guaranteed harmless.
Which initially surprised me and bummed me out, but watching her Karen her way through the afterlife was completely worth it.
Take a number, take a seat.
No, you see those asps? They were defanged. I paid extra for that.
Honey, you're dead, okay?
Unfortunately, she doesn't have a choice in the matter despite her protests.
Is there perhaps anyone here who has the power to help me?
Did that line used to work for you?
I'm not dead!
But what absolutely is a choice is the prosthetic makeup the makeup department made for the ghost of Astrid's dad, who died in a boat accident in the Amazon and I guess was consumed by piranhas. It's so silly and also so horrible to look at that I'm glad it's not more realistic. I really appreciate the unwavering enthusiasm they have for the vibes in this movie, though.
We made a great kid.
Yeah, we did.
And I respect the fact that they managed to still have a touching scene or two with this guy, even as I'm trying my best not to look at the fish in his face. Lydia and Astrid are completely unfazed, though, which is very on brand for them. Overall, I had a really great time watching this film, and I don't really have much to say at this point other than justice for Bob. I do also like the choral version of Deo that we get in the funeral scene. It's just... But that's all I have for you for now. Have you had a chance to see Beetlejuice Beetlejuice? What did you think of it? Were you a fan of the original? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. See you next time. Wiedersehen.